everyone. Welcome back to the TD Podcast. We are your hosts, Tony and Dak. And in today's episode, we are going through the Week 4 NFL season and a quick recap of a couple of games. But before we get to the games, we have some questions, some news, and some injuries to get through. And I will be kicking it off with the injuries that we have had from this week. There are some more big ones. Sucks. We don't like it. Nobody likes it, but some quick updates for you guys. Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury, could be out for 3 to 4 weeks. Malik Neighbors tore his hamstring. He's going to be out for probably the rest of the season. I think is already confirmed. Tyreek Hill, yeah, he's out the whole season with his knee injury. Brock Purdy still sore, so keep an eye on that. I don't think he practiced today, and with them playing Thursday, it doesn't look too good for them. Jackson Dart was on the injury report. I don't remember what that was, but
yeah, he didn't finish the game. I don't believe
he did. If I'm not mistaken, he did. I was
Russell,
watching the game, so maybe I'm tweaking. But
I thought he hit the injury report.
He was on the injury report, but I'm pretty sure he finished the game. Justin Madubuike, the defensive tackle for the Rams, is out for the rest of the year with a neck injury, and Colton Miller, left tackle for the Raiders, one of the few bright spots for the Raiders on that offensive line. He had an ankle sprain, I believe it's an ankle sprain, and then also has an hairline fracture in that same ankle. So if you have any of those kinds of players in your fantasy football teams, or if you're trying to square up a bet, look for those teams to either stay away from or maybe capitalize on.
Yeah, just to get into kind of some of the headlines, as a Malik Neighbors injury is really huge, and so is a Tyreek Hill one. But Malik Neighbors injury is kind of weird. It looks a lot like the OBJ injury. Both came from LSU. Both are first-round draft picks. Both on the Giants, and the team that they were playing when they tore their ACL were the Chargers, and the team or the guy throwing to him was an Ole Miss quarterback. Granted, Malik Neighbors happened in week 4, and Odell Beckham Jr.'s injury happened week 5. But that's a crazy coincidence to continue happening here in the NFL. But to get to some more other headlines, the Colts finally lost, shot themselves in the foot. Some big upsets this weekend, though. The Falcons upset the Commanders, and Marcus Mariota didn't really get his revenge game that everyone was talking about. What was the other upset here? I have it in my notes.
The Giants won.
Oh, Giants beat the Chargers, guys.
I am not upset about that.
Crazy.
I've been telling you guys. It's just more fuel to my fire.
I will quote all the way back into to March, I believe, was when we started this, and I told you guys Jackson Dart would be a starting quarterback in the NFL and would win games, and everyone called me crazy because I said he would go in the first round. He's winning football games, unlike the other ones that are there. Anyways, Bad Bunny has announced the NFL, and the NFL announced that Bad Bunny will be the halftime show. Chiefs take advantage of a weak Ravens team, and they put a lot of points on the board. Oh well.
Listen, I'm not upset. Hold on, I'll let you finish. I thought you were done.
Dolphins got their first win last night, despite Tyreek Hill going down, and Tua Tagovailoa was praising the Lord for everyone was safe, and then said most of us. So I don't know what's going on between him and Tyreek Hill. Derrick Henry was practicing without sleeves on his arms because the fumbles have been a problem for him. And the Browns will most likely go forward with starting Dillon Gabriel this week, week 5.
So back to the Bad Bunny situation. I'm not upset that he's the singer. I honestly couldn't care less. I couldn't tell you if I'd ever heard a Bad Bunny song. It's just that Taylor Swift was right there. And I'm not even a Taylor Swift guy. But it just makes so much more sense.
Did you hear why Taylor Swift is not doing it?
No, why isn't she? Because the Chiefs aren't making it?
No, the NFL, when you do a halftime show for the NFL, it's free. You don't get paid to do it.
Well, she's an idiot.
You don't you
Um,
don't get paid to do the halftime show.
she doesn't need more money. She's marrying Travis Kelsey. She's already that's annoying. Um,
What I've heard.
but even
Also,
to bounce off of
did
that
you
even
mention
more.
did you mention Brock Purdy earlier about his toe? He's probably not gonna
Yeah,
play
I did.
Thursday.
I did.
Yeah, he's probably not playing
I
Thursday.
did. If you listened, you know. Um,
Sorry.
but and then going back to the Bad Bunny thing, like I have no problems with him. I couldn't care less. But they're also not really catering to the audience of like the NFL, you know?
I think they're trying to explore and expand the game.
Yeah,
And why not do it?
but
Why not
like
do it when you're
you
when
have other
you're
artists that you could have done it with.
where's Super Bowl at this year?
Oh,
Is it in Miami?
no.
If it's in Miami, it makes sense.
Does it? It
Um,
is in. Where is it at?
New Orleans. Oh wait, no, that was last year.
No, it's in Santa Clara. It's in Cali. It's at
not.
Levi Stadium. It's at the Niners Stadium.
Yeah, I can't believe I
Um,
didn't know that.
Yeah, shame on you.
but,
But
but
I don't know. I just I don't I mean I probably won't watch it. I've never heard his music. I didn't want to watch last year's either. But I was at a Super Bowl party, so I did passively.
fair enough.
The last one I
Um,
enjoyed was The Weeknd, so all right.
questions.
Yeah,
Now
questions,
into,
you're right.
So now into the questions. I got three that I will unload on you, and I will let you, have these. I'll give you my slight opinions, but some headline questions. The first one is big name players are going out in the NFL. There's just no questions about it. Tyreek Hill and Malik Neighbors were the last two that went out. Joe Burrow's been out. Nick Bosa's been out. And that's just slight some. I mean, there's some really, really big names continuing to go out in the NFL. And does that, a question the NFL has to take is going, do we have to take precautions in these injuries because people want to come see these players? It's just like the MLB, if Shohei, Kyle Schwarber, Cal Riley, Aaron Judge, those guys, if they're not playing, the MLB is down. Those are the top players in the MLB. When it comes to the NFL, your top players aren't playing. Is the NFL in a position to do something about the injuries?
I think the big problem is the muscle injuries and the tissue injuries, not necessarily like the Tyreek Hill situation where it was a tackle. You couldn't really do anything about it. If I'm not mistaken, Joe Burrows was also on a sack. So those are like contact injuries. The non-contact injuries are the problem. The Malik Neighbors injury is the big issue. If I'm not mistaken, Nick Bosa, his ACL was torn on a non-contact injury.
Najee Harris was
Najee Harris, yeah.
non-contact. Austin
So
Eckler non-contact.
yeah, so
Like the list can continuously go on and
Yeah.
on and on.
those are the injuries that the NFL needs to look into. And I believe Odell Beckham tweeted after Malik Neighbors had his injury that the NFL needs to get rid of turf. And I could see it. But there's also John Gruden was on, I think it was on his podcast or somebody's podcast, saying that there's injuries that are going to happen because they're not practicing the right way anymore, right? The way they practice is different, so that's why we're seeing more injuries, right? Now, hold on. I might have to go back and fact check that on the injuries rate, but we do seem to see, it feels like we see more injuries, and there's less contact now. So make sense, especially when we have more athletic. Maybe it's because players now are faster, more athletic, but if they're more athletic and they play, I don't know. There's some weird things, discrepancies, and that kind of thing that don't really add up in my brain, but I'm also not like some super big brain medical guy. I watch football and I talk about it. Um, and that's I would look into the turf situation. The Guardian caps, there's like 3 players that I've seen wear them. So they're doing that, but it's the non-contact injuries that are the problem, and it could be the cleats even. I'm not just gonna throw turf and say it's all the turf, but I also know that turf does kind of stink, having played on it before.
Yeah, it's very weird to me that you know injuries continuously happen, but apparently it's not at the rate that we think it is. It's kind of around the same rate, but it's just the star players that are continuously getting hurt, and it's just scary. I mean, look at the quarterbacks that have gone out. Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, Tua out a bunch of all the time. It seems like there's quarterbacks going out every single year, and it's kind of getting scary to continue to watch football, knowing that at any time my favorite player, my favorite team, could just go directly downhill because the guy that's leading that team is no longer playing. What happened to guys stepping in and winning, and it's just not. We're not seeing that. We're seeing the production value go way down from guys that are top tier, but production value going way down. I'm now turning to my next question of the Tennessee Titans. They're 0-4. Cam Ward has said that we are bleep. I'm not gonna say the word, but they're really bad.
Their cheeks.
My question to you is did the Titans give up on Will Levis too early? Because Cam Ward, if we look through the first 4 games of what Cam Ward has done versus what Will Levis has done, Will Levis got him a win. Will Levis had a 58.9 completion percentage, had 857 passing yards, 6 touchdowns to 2 interception ratio. You look at what Cam Ward has done, 0 wins, a 51.2 completion percentage, 614 passing yards, 2 interceptions to 2 touchdown ratio. It's coming to me as Titans are a worse team than what Will Levis had, because again, Will Levis wasn't a first round pick. He was, I believe, in the second or the third. And the Titans had a better team around them then. But did the Titans give up on Will Levis too early? Or, on the whole flip side, do we need to give Cam Ward more time?
I think both things can be true. I can't say I've ever really watched a Titans game. It's just not a product that I've been interested in watching. At least while Will Levis was playing. That being said, I do like Will Levis as a player in terms of his build and his ability, in terms of he's a big guy, big arm, athletic. Similar to, like, not saying that he's Josh Allen, but that's the guy. You think big, athletic, big arm. You think, yeah, exactly. You think Josh Allen. Now, I don't think that he was. The thing with the Titans is I don't like their coach. I don't like Brian Callahan. I don't think that he's done much of any improving since he's become their head coach. So while I don't think that they gave up on Will Levis necessarily too early, I also don't think that they've put the weapons around Cam Ward. His number one receiver is Calvin Ridley. Come on. Like, what are we doing? Then we have the guy that I can never say his name, Alec Ayomanor. Tight end Chigakonkwo is good, but like, what are we doing? And then the receiver, the running backs, Tyler Lockett. Like, what is this? A freaking museum? Like, we got a museum in the receiving core, and then Alec Ayomanor's the little kid walking through it. Like, I feel bad for him. I'm glad he's capitalizing on the weak receiving core because he's having himself a nice little season, but with Tyjae Spears going out, and I've been a Tyjae Spears fan since his rookie season. I saw the first game of the season, and I was like, yeah, he's gonna be good because he's got a dual threat ability in terms of running the ball and then also receiving. Maybe it was just me seeing like, okay, flash in the pan. I could be wrong, but and then on top of all that, the defense isn't like the best thing ever. Jeffrey Simmons is a monster among men. But outside of that, I can't think of anybody. Can you? Maybe my brain's blanking, but Kevin Byard's gone. He just picked off Geno Smith twice. We'll get to that later. But
it's a situation to where the Titans, I don't think, want to be good, but they're pretending like they want to be good, and it's just not a good situation for me to be watching. And it's a terrible situation for Cam Ward because I think he is really he's 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 better than what people are going to give him credit for. But I think Cam Ward is going to be fine because I mean he's had this chip on his shoulder his whole life. I mean he was a 0-star recruit coming out of a high school, went to Internet World, and has been betting on himself his whole entire career. But it's a tough situation. And another tough situation. My last question is it time to panic for Ravens fans? Lamar Jackson out 2 to 3, 4 weeks. You're 1-3. Derrick Henry has struggled really bad. You have a bye week next week, but is it time to panic as a Ravens fan? Because you lose 2 out of the next 3 games, and then you're sitting at 2-5. You're gonna have to get going to even try and make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Is it time to panic?
Um, I wouldn't say panic yet because outside of the Steelers, they don't really have any competition inside their division because the Bengals are without Joe Burrow and an O-line. And then the Browns are going to be a toss-up team. I don't think they're trying to win. I just think they're trying to improve. So if the Ravens can hit a switch and make some changes, then I think they could be fine. The problem arises with their injuries and the record. Not the record, the schedule they've started out with. They've started out against 3 playoff teams from last year. One went to the Super Bowl. One beat them to go to the Super Bowl last year. No, not Super Bowl. To go to the conference championship. And then the other one was in the other side conference championship. No, they lost to the Commanders. Anyways, they played 3 teams that went far in the playoffs last year, and then they played the Browns, right? Next week they have the Texans. If they lose to the Texans, I would hit the panic button. The Texans are a dumpster fire. They haven't looked good. They looked good against the Titans, but we just established that doesn't really mean much.
Yeah.
The Titans' offense has been dysfunctional, and I feel bad for Cam Ward to finish that last thought. So, in the next 4 weeks, the Ravens play the Texans, Rams, Bears, and Dolphins.
Do they have a bye week in there?
Maybe. They might have a bye week between the Rams and the Bears game, which is good. But if they can win 3 of their next games, or at least 2 of them, without Lamar Jackson, maybe Lamar should be back for the Bears game. The Texans game, I don't know who's their backup.
It's not Snoop. It's the Cooper Rush.
It's Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit the panic button. Their host.
It's a completely different play style than what Lamar Jackson's in.
Currently Lamar Jackson is doubtful. But yeah, Cooper Rush is the backup. Yeah, maybe hit the panic button. Maybe. I mean, I think they could probably still beat the Texans. Cooper Rush has been like decent enough. The Rams is probably a no-go. The Bears depends because they've been on a burner. The Dolphins, I still don't think they're worth the salt. And then the Vikings are, yeah, maybe it's time to panic because their schedule doesn't get any easier.
You got to win more games than you lose, and with Lamar being out, he could be out 3 to 4 weeks.
What an astute observation. You got to win more games than you lose. Who would have thought, ladies and gentlemen? Only here on the TV podcast.
You got to win a lot more games. You got to win a lot more games than you lose to get back from the 1-3 record you're at right now.
Man, that's going on TikTok somewhere.
Speaking of a team that won
we talk
games,
sports good.
Get into your Giants breakdown here, because the Giants surprised a lot of people this weekend.
Yeah, so one of my games for the week, for those of you that are new, our recap videos start out with the first first and 10, which is typically the questions, the injuries, the headlines. And then we get to our halftime situation block where it's really the recaps, right? Dak and I try to watch 3 games a week to break down a couple of games more in depth and actually know what we're talking about, not just box score watching, because the box score never tells you the whole story. Never, ever, ever. With that being said, I watched the Chargers and Giants game because I am a Raiders fan who wanted the Chargers to lose, and I have been on a tiny table saying that the Giants are going to be the best bad team in the league this year, and they just proved me kind of right last week. Now, with that being said, the game was a tale of not playing hero ball. Jackson Dart did what he needed to do. You see plenty of times where young quarterbacks are like, okay, they're itching to get on the field. They get on the field, they try to do too much, and then they end up losing. Jackson Dart did not do that. Jackson Dart did what he had to do. He threw 65% completion, 1 passing touchdown, and 111 passing yards. You know what that sounds like to me? Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl. You know what else he did? He ran 54 yards and a touchdown on 10 attempts. None of them were forced either. Not that I saw. They were.
No,
some of them were.
Like hit a hole and ran around.
Cam Scatterbo trucked a dude, lead blocker. You put Cam Scatterbo as your lead blocker, you don't need a fullback. You don't need a tight end.
Great week this week.
He did have a good week. Now the Giants defense also applied pressure and played fast. They had 12 quarterback hits and 2 sacks. If I remember correctly, I saw on Twitter or X, whatever the heck you choose to call it, Abdul Carter had, I believe, 9 pressures.
Yeah, and he has like the highest success rush percentage of all rookies.
I don't know about all that, but I wouldn't be surprised. So like I mentioned early in the season, their D-line is going to be nasty. Dexter Lawrence played well. Also, it's just what he does. But on the other side of the ball with the Chargers offense has no balance at all. They threw the ball 41 times and ran 13 times.
And Omarion Hampton still had a decent game.
And Omarion Hampton did indeed have a decent game still. But the problem is there's a difference between creating a new identity, which is what Jim Harbaugh... Jim? Or is it John? Which one is it?
Jim is at the Chargers. John is at the Ravens.
Jim Harbaugh and... what's his name? What's their offensive coordinator? He's also from the Ravens. Whatever his name is. Todd Monken? Is that his name?
No idea.
Show me that I'm a beast. Come on. Greg Roman. Dang it. Wrong guy. Greg
Todd
Roman.
Monken is at the Ravens.
That's what it is. Okay. So their identity typically has been run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. This year they flipped it on their head. And I think they went a little bit too far. Like I said, they threw the ball 41 times and ran 13. So lack of balance in the game means you don't get your rookie running back, into a groove. And they weren't even playing from behind. So what's that make sense? I understand their tackles are injured now. Like Rashawn Slater's been out all season, and Joe Alt just got hurt too. But what does every offensive lineman want to do? Run the dang ball. Exactly. They got to run people over. So the fact that they aren't doing that is a little crazy to me. Going back to Justin Herbert in those 41 attempts, he threw for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. So just more trying to figure out what Herbert's doing. He's been really good, but the Giants' defense was able to He's able to stall him a little bit better this week. And then LA's defense made Dart uncomfortable, but he stayed strong in the pocket. He was sacked 6 times. If there was any bright spot for the Chargers outside of Omarion Hampton, it would be Tuli Tuipulotu, who had 4 sacks. And he looked like the sacks that I saw, he was like a cannonball shot out of a cannon. Pew! It was crazy. And he's a big dude, too. So, the defense also had 9 quarterback hits. So, once again, just any given Sunday, is what the NFL is, and that's what makes the sport
Yeah,
so beautiful.
correct. I'm gonna get into my first game. I was at work, so I got to watch this game kind of at work, and here and there. But uh, the Colts and the Rams game just seemed like the Colts were there, and then they weren't, and then they were there, and then they weren't. The big plays just continuously uh, kept the Rams out in front, and the big plays that the Colts had just didn't seem to go their way. Um, Xavier Howard hasn't looked great for the Colts. Kenny Moore's out. That's a big loss there as Puka Nakua just went ballistic all over the Colts defense. But A.D. Mitchell, he's under the microscope right now for the whole team. Everyone believes that he's the reason they lost the game, and I'm not going to sit here and say he's the full reason they lost the game, but he had a part of them losing the game. Reaching the ball out and fumbling it as you're scoring on an easy touchdown hurts. But not only does it hurt, you gave them 2 points, or no, it was just a touchback. So you didn't give them 2 points. But that hurts a lot. And then a few plays later, he gets called on a holding that takes away a touchdown. So that's a 14-point swing right there just from 2 plays that A.D. Mitchell was on.
If I may, you cannot put the whole game on him when your quarterback throws 2 picks. You may continue.
Correct, but
No buts. That's 2 turnovers.
The picks, I wouldn't necessarily say that the
They
picks
don't have
were
to be
bad.
his fault. It's just turnovers.
Yes, the last pick of the game was just him staring down a receiver late in the game, wanting to throw to it. Just wasn't a great read. Safety didn't bite, and safety was just sitting there the whole time. The first one, I believe, was just a really bad ball, if I can remember right. But the Colts just hurt themselves. And they still had a chance to come and win the game or even tie the game, which is huge, considering how bad they played. And I think it's a testament to how good the Colts can be this year. And even Matthew Stafford said this morning that the Colts are a good football team. They're strong, they're physical, and they're going to be a good football team. So I'm not necessarily concerned about how they played. But the Colts did have 10 penalties, which I think is too much. Considering, but the Bengals had 11 in one quarter yesterday. So, who knows what really is enough and what's not. But the Colts didn't really get a lot of pressure on the Rams, and that allowed Matthew Stafford to sit back there and make the throws that he's made his whole career. I saw this interesting stat that said Puka Nakua is on pace to break the record for most receiving yards in a year, I believe. The 2 people that have done it were both Matthew Stafford's quarterbacks, or Matthew Stafford's receivers, with Calvin Johnson and then Cooper Kupp. So the Rams are doing what the Rams have done, and they're looking like they could be the best team in the NFC West, and we will find out on Thursday night. But I'm a Niners fan, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that I think the Rams are going to beat the Niners because of how unhealthy the 49ers are. And
That's not the only reason.
And how well the Rams are playing offensively right now. And the 49ers defense is trying to figure itself out with all the injuries that they've been going through.
Yeah. Just to piggyback off of your Puka Nakua statement, he currently has 503 yards, which is over half of what he had last year with 990. So, yeah, he's definitely on
4
pace.
weeks in.
4 weeks in, yeah. A quarter of the way. If he continues, he will have 2,000-ish yards. Oh, no, more than that. More than that because there's 17 games.
This year.
As long as everybody stays healthy. My next game, once again, is a Raiders game. Sorry, not sorry. I have to. I had to. My shift lead is a Bears fan, and I had to at least watch the game a little bit. I was only able to watch the first half because of a church thing, but with that being said, I did still watch again the first half, and I did keep up with some of the plays from the second. All that being said, the Raiders side of the ball was a tale of wasted games. Geno Smith wasted the game. Hold on. Excuse me, sorry. He threw three interceptions, two of them in the first half, one in the second. Two of them were on very similar scheme plays with Jacoby Myers on an in-breaking route. Kevin Byard was standing there in the middle of the field, and then he picked it off because he's a good safety. Um, and then on one of the interceptions, if Geno Smith waited one more second, then it could have been a touchdown to Trey Tucker. If I remember correctly, I tried to look back, but I couldn't get the right angle to see which play it was or who it was. But regardless, and then to the breakout games that are wasted, or the games that were wasted rather, Ashton Genty finally broke out. I called it. I don't remember if it was on the show or if it was in person, but Ashton Genty had 21 rushes for 138 yards and a touchdown. And then receiving, he had, oh my goodness, I'm never drinking Olipop ever again. Um, he had two catches for 17 yards and two touchdowns receiving. And then on the defensive side, Max Crosby had himself a good little game. I would call it a legacy game, but without tallying a sack, it makes it a little difficult. Um, but he had three pass deflections and an interception. It makes me sad that he couldn't tally a sack, but he's a menace, and I'm glad that he's still showing NFL fans that he is. Um, Numbers, again, don't tell the whole story for the Raiders defense. If the Raiders defense didn't play the way they did Sunday, then it would have been a landslide. The Raiders would not have been in the game. The defense really played well, played out of their minds, if you ask me. Um, Better than you could ask, because with three turnovers in the first quarter, no, two turnovers in the first quarter, three in the first half, you can't expect the defense to do what they did, and they did. And without them, it would have been much worse. Um, Now for the Bears, it was a tale of turnovers. They forced, again, three interceptions and recovered a fumble. And Roma Dunze continued his touchdown streak with four receptions, 69 yards, and a touchdown. I can't speak to how the second half went, but the Bears defense capitalized over and over and over again. For not outside of the run defense, which clearly still wasn't that great with how Ashton Genty tore them up. But their pass defense did obviously hold up with how poorly Geno Smith played. Now, going back to what I said earlier about the box score not always telling the full story, Geno did not have a great game. I'm not going to act like he did. But the box score lies often when it comes to that kind of thing. Not necessarily with this game, but in games in the past, it has. Um, With all that being said, kudos to the Bears in pulling it off. And hopefully it doesn't happen again for the Raiders. And hopefully they don't get a field goal blocked so they can actually win a football game. And I'm going to the game this weekend, so sorry again, but you're getting another Raiders breakdown. Raiders and Colts breakdown, because that's probably going to be the only game I can watch until the late game. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Speaking of the late game on Sunday, I watched the Packers and Cowboys, and man, what a game! Everything was good going into the game. We knew it was going to be an exciting game, just from the Cowboys' perspective, and just how well the Packers have been playing despite what they did against the Browns. But the game ended in a tie. And don't get me started, but there needs to be changes.
this isn't
I get
soccer.
it. I get it. You want player safety, whatever. Your games can't end in a tie. I'm sorry. It just can't. But the offenses played really really well, and the defenses got shunned. The secondaries got exposed, and George Pickens had himself a day. 8 catches for 134 yards and two touchdowns, and Romeo Dobbs had himself a day in the red zone with 6 catches, 58 yards, and three touchdowns. Um, and Josh Jacobs just looked to be running all over them. Like, he could pretty much do whatever he wanted. I think he was getting 6, 7 yards a pop. Just boom, 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 boom. Javante Williams had a decent game as well. The run games were existent, but I think teams just kind of ran away from it a little bit. Pun there, run game, running away from it. Just because of the simple fact that they were able to throw the ball so well. Dak Prescott had this one throw where he found Turpin He was just running out and just threw it off his back leg and threw it like 35 to 45 yards. And Turpin came back and got it. And I was just like, I didn't even see that there. Like, just Dak Prescott played really, really good. He's actually having a pretty decent season. He's leading the league in passing yards so far. Um, but again, both secondaries looked horrible. Kenny Clark played well for the Cowboys. He's definitely helping their run game. They went from one of the worst run games in the league to middle of the pack. So, he's helping out the run game. Didn't necessarily help him out too much because, again, Josh Jacobs was playing really, really well. Micah Parsons still got a sack on Dak Prescott, even though it was for no loss. So that was an interesting thing. But he did save a touchdown late because if Micah Parsons didn't come off the edge on the opposite side and chase down Dak Prescott was running in for a touchdown easily there. Um, but again, great game. Sucked that it ended in a tie. And the NFL needs to do something about ending games in ties, especially on prime time. Like, everyone's watching. You
Yeah.
don't want to watch in a tie. If it's a
Luckily,
1 o'clock game and hardly anybody's watching, whatever.
yeah. Luckily, it doesn't happen too often. Now, our next segment of the show, we don't have a name for it yet. We could just call it the fourth quarter, but I don't know. I don't have a witty name for it yet. But it is our power rankings, of the episode. Dak and I come up with our top 6 teams because TD 6. It's
Points.
funny, yeah, points. We have our top 6 teams of the NFL. It seems as though we have the same top 3, and I think it's self-explanatory as to why. So let's not waste time. Just go around and just say the same things. Our bottom 3, however, have one difference. You have the Chargers. I have the Packers at number 4. Why do you have the Chargers?
I think the Chargers in a really, really great position to even make the playoffs, and I think they had one bad game, and I don't necessarily think it was a bad game. You're just coming into a team that is kind of resurging and kind of finding a true identity, and they were just playing for something different. And I think the Chargers just kind of got complacent a little bit and feeling off of the 3 games they did have. And those 3 games they had were big divisional games where you can necessarily afford to lose a game against the Giants, but not lose a game against a divisional opponent. And I think they're in pretty good shape. And I think what I've seen from their offense has looked pretty good. They've been able to score. Granted, they didn't look too good, but I think the Najee Harris injury is going to affect them a little bit because I think they're going to be a little scared to run the ball with Amari Hampton a lot, just because he's a rookie. And, you don't necessarily want to throw somebody into the fire like that. Because, if you look at what happened last night with the Jets, Braylon Allen fumbles, and, he's still kind of getting into his own and coming into you can't just throw rookies into the fire unless they're being overproduction in college. Like a guy like Ashton Genty can take those reps because he has been overproduction. He has 30, 40 carries in a game versus you get in the league, it's a little bit different. I think their run game is going to be a little bit different, but I think they're still better than what teams are thinking they are, and I think they're better than my 5 and 6 teams just because of what they have done in the previous weeks. And, they lost by 1 possession. So it's not as if they played really bad. I think they still probably had a chance to win that game.
Yeah, it's not necessarily how they've been playing. It's who they lost to and how the other 2 teams have been playing. The Packers tied, right? They tied against a really good offense. The defense was just, they took a vacation, I guess. But the Packers team has been, the first 2 weeks they were dang near unstoppable. The 3rd week was the Browns, and then this week was the Cowboys. So, I don't know. I could go either way. If nothing else, I would move the Packers down to 6 and move the other 2 teams up. But I have the Rams at 5 and the Colts at 6. So do you. I have the Rams and Colts over the Chargers because of who they've lost to. The Colts kind of had a fraud watch going on going into the Rams game, and they still kept it close. They didn't get blown out. It was a good, close game that nobody, like, I guess I can't say nobody expected, but people were like on the edge of their seats, like kind of hoping, you know. But they only lost the game by 7 points against a good Rams team versus the
And
Chargers.
you gotta think what other thing that happened that last play that they scored 85 yards on. The Colts only had 10 players on the field.
Oh, that's their own
They
fault.
only had they only had 10 players on the field. So granted, Tutu Atwell did run a really great route, and he got open, and Cam Bynum was the safety, and was kind of lost of what was really going on. But when you only have 10 players on the field, you're gonna be lost because someone's not doing something, and if you try to fill that gaps, something else is gonna be really really big open. Um, but I think that the Colts were in a position to win that game despite how bad they played, and that's why I have them at 6 still on my board and not down farther, where a team like the Buccaneers or a team like um,
The
somebody
Jags.
else move up, um, or the Jags, or even having the Packers up there. Um, but I have the Rams ahead of the Colts because obviously the Rams beat the Colts, and I think the Rams are playing really, really great football. And it's kind of like the Lions,
Yeah.
They start off a little slow, but when they get going, they're going to be unstoppable, and you better watch out.
Yeah. So looking at the box score again, I take the box score with a grain of salt. It kind of tells the story, kind of doesn't. It's like the spark notes of the NFL football game, right? Daniel Jones, 262 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Jonathan Taylor, 76 yards rushing and on 17 attempts. So that's what the difference is for me versus the Chargers, right? The Colts still play a balanced football game, and so do the Rams. That's what does it for me. I don't like teams that win one way because when you shut down that one way, they panic. That's kind of what happened with the Chargers, right? They have the weapons to win otherwise, they just don't use them or didn't use them. Not early enough, not often enough. Like I mentioned with the Chargers game, they were winning and continued to pass the ball. When you're winning and you lose your offensive tackle, you better start pounding the rock and chewing up the clock. I understand you have you have a really good receiving core. I understand
Yes.
that. But at the same time, you have to control the clock more. You have a quarterback who can run. You have a running back who is itching, I'm sure, to get on the field more and do more. It's just a missed opportunity, and the fact that they don't play balanced football really rubs me the wrong way. So that's why I have them where
I
they're
think
at.
Um, to mention, you were just talking about Jonathan Taylor's. I mean, he touched the ball 22 times on the day. So I think that's still a great balanced attack. If your running back is touching the ball 22 times a game,
Exactly.
I think that's pretty darn good because he's got big explosive plays that can happen.
And then
So-
even the Packers, Jordan Love threw for 31 times. Josh Jacobs ran 22 times. Emmanuel Wilson even threw or ran for 8 times. Balanced
and
football wins games.
Emmanuel Wilson was also getting the ball out of the backfield a lot.
Yeah.
In short passes. So
Yeah. So that's why I have them ranked where they're at and not in my top 6. Now for our next segment, which we do have a fun name for, is our 2-minute warning, which is where we just use the last 2 minutes of the show of content and just spew a bunch of hot takes. Dak,
I'm gonna go first.
Yeah, you can go first
I'm
because
going
I don't
first.
have any off the top of my head.
You've gone first the past few
Yeah,
weeks.
which sucks
I'm gonna
because I
start
don't
off-
want to. I don't have hot takes off
I'm
the
gonna
top of my
start
head.
off. The first hot take: the Colts are still a playoff team. Boom.
That's not a hot take, but
Um,
go for it.
And Daniel Jones will be the comeback player of the year.
That's crazy.
He's still playing good football, and he's still going to be in a position to put the Colts at a chance to make the playoffs and win the playoff game. Dak Prescott is having a great year, and I think can put himself in the MVP conversation again if they can continue to win games. The defense, I think, is going to hurt him with his MVP chances because they're not going to put themselves into winning games, kind of like what happened to Joe Burrow last year. Steelers defense is legit and they're back. And Aaron Rodgers will help them win a playoff game. That hasn't happened in a few years. Mike McDaniel saved himself from getting fired until later on in the year because he won a division game, even though the Dolphins looked really, really bad last night because the Jets just looked even worse. But if he doesn't win the next 4 games or do something in the next 4 games, he could have a shorter string. Steelers look in a great position to win the AFC North, and I think they do win the AFC North. That's not much of a hot take, but that's just because everything else in that division is really, really bad, and I think the Browns have a better chance to win the division than the Bengals do, and I think the Browns have a little bit less chance than the Ravens do right now if Dylan Gable can bring them a spark like Jackson Dart brought the Giants a spark. And Bills are still the Super Bowl favorite and will win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I might need to find a new co-host with that Browns take. I don't even think I could top that, even if I had anything to say.
I think the Browns defense is keeping them in games.
They're 1-3.
And they're still been in close games.
Even with a backup quarterback, no run game, and a trash defense, the Bengals are 2-2.
Because Joe Burrow won them the first 2 games.
Jake Browning won them the second.
Who were they playing?
The Jags, who are 3-1. Who just beat your Niners. He's backpedaling.
That's because Brock Purdy ain't healthy.
Checkmate. Anyways, I can't say that I have any real hot takes. I'm surprised Tyler Shuck's still not playing, kind of. Spencer Rattler's apparently played well. Do I have any real hot takes?
Spencer Rattler still hasn't got his first career win yet.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Do I have one? I mean, Geno Smith might be stinking it up. I need him to pick it up. That's my, not even a hot take. That's just my take. Is Geno Smith better get it together, or somebody better be dialing my quarterback, and get him back in the silver and black in that backfield. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah.
He's being written off, and I think it's time for him to start writing back because he's not looking good.
Are you not picking up who I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about Geno Smith.
Yeah, but I'm talking about my boy Derek Carr. Get Geno out of here. I need Derek back. Man, I've been watching videos of him talk about football. Man, it got me feeling nicey. I saw him having a video with John Gruden breaking down some football, talking ball, and man, ooh, this feels nice. I wish what happened didn't happen. Man, that season could have been nice.
But it did.
It did.
But it did.
We don't live in the past.
Colts, so.
They beat the Colts that year.
But they lost to the Colts one year in the playoffs. So
no, they didn't.
Year.
No. In 2016, they broke his leg before the playoffs. Trent Cole snapped his leg on Christmas Day.
Oh.
In Week 16.
Yeah.
The next week, they walked out with Matt McGloin. And then for the playoffs, they lost because they started with Connor Cook and the Texans when Jadeveon Clowney was still good at football with J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson before he had all that crap. So, yeah, believe me, I remember. Anyways, that concludes our recap episode today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Go follow us on all the things down below. I still haven't added our X or Twitter, but it's basically the exact same thing. Look for the logo in the top right. I'll figure out how to point eventually. Top right, up there, above Dak's head. If it's that logo, that's our account. Until next time, we'll see you guys later, and hope you guys enjoy and have a great rest of the day, because now you know ball. See ya.